Sponsored by the Bridgestone AT41, the do-it-all adventure tyre.
Welcome to the 2022 44 Teeth Big Bike Adventure Test.
Nice.
That's right, it's the big adventure test. The BMW 1250 GS Adventure versus Ducati's Multistrada V4S, the KTM 1290 Super Adventure S, and Triumph's all-new Tiger 1200 GT Pro. After fitting some Bridgestone AT41s as a control tyre to all the bikes at JHS Racing, we trekked onto the motorway and across the Severn Bridge, where dreamy ribbons of tarmac, glorious sunshine, and 2 days of serious adventuring awaits. And given this was a four-way session, we drafted in the services of internet legend and 44T subscriber, Mr. Lamb Chops, to assist with riding duties.
We're in the middle of the Rhondda Valley. Treorchy. Sounds like a drink. Or a chocolate bar. Or a chocolate bar, yeah. Mummy, can I have a Treorchy, please? No, you've had 3 already, you fat little shit. I've never seen so many blind people in one town. As we waft through on our exceedingly expensive executive toys. Oh,
Go on then, darling, you got yourself across.
No problem.
Cheers,
no problem. Hey.
Oh, I made a day there.
Aww. Up into the hills. There's a bit of drizzle.
Mizzle.
That would be my rap name. DJ Drizzle. MC Lemon Drizzle Cake. Well, lovely weather for it.
Prime, isn't it?
But the thing is, when you got bikes like this, it doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't really matter too much. I mean, obviously the sunshine helps, but and when you've got tyres like the AT41s, nothing matters.
Whoa!
I mean, we are really adventuring now, aren't we?
We absolutely are, yes. I think we should do some little introductions about the vehicles that we've got with us. So, you want to start there, Ali?
Well, thanks, Chris. So, I mean, I think we all agreed, we all had our favourites going in, and the favourites coming into this test are the bikes we're on, and this for me is the best adventure bike. I mean, quantifying adventure bikes is really difficult. We get super bikes, you have the fastest lap times, the better handling, this and that, where adventure bikes, they are adventure bikes, they are to please the rider, and it's utterly subjective. And for me, I'm not ready to be old and boring yet, and the KTM isn't old and boring. It's like a super bike, it's a comfy super bike on steroids, and it's the most fun, I think, and it's probably the best on track. And I mean, not that I'd obviously buy one and take it on track, but yeah, it's for me, it's the best package, it's the most fun, I think it's probably the fastest as well. Ducati might take that, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
And what about you there, Betty Boothroyd?
If I'm going to buy a bike, I want a bike to be fast, leery, but at the same time, it's a Ducati, it's got all electronics, it's elegant, it'll just do anything. If adventure motorcycles are the kind of Chelsea Chariots of the bike world, this would be the one that everyone would want. This would be the one that you'd want to drop the kids off at school, and you'd want people to see parked up on the drive. So for me, at the minute, if I was going to have a big adventure bike, I think it'd have to be the Multistrada V4.
What about you, Chrissy?
Well, I mean, surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise, I've stuck with the, let's face it, pretty old now. The platform is pretty old. What are you doing? Oh, hello. This shape came out, and the liquid cooled was in 2014, which is when I thought it was
1942.
There's always something about this bike which if I wanted a fast bike, I'd get a super bike or a big naked bike. This bike for me has more of what I want in a everyday usable utilitarian machine. And I think just earlier on there we were gassing at the spot, right, and these big adventure bikes, they're kind of like SUVs, aren't they, really, if you're going to compare them to a road vehicle. They're just sort of, they're quite expensive, well, they are very expensive, big, showy things. But this one, I know it's not the fastest still, and if anything, it's sort of feeling a little bit old, but there is still something about this which is, I'm open to change, but I really feel that this currently is the one for me. It just also so happens to be the one that we've put all the massive camera gear, tripods and all the stuff which fits on it. Yes, we've got some big old panniers, but it's not all about speed for me. It's about feeling, it's about enjoying it, and I think this engine is playful and talky and low down, and yeah, I don't want to go a billion miles an hour on it. I just want to smash through the gears and, you know, still embarrass a few sports bike riders on this without a doubt, but yeah, so I feel at the moment this is still what I would buy. This leads us on to the new bike which is on the test, which is the Triumph, which Chopsy's on at the moment. So none of us have really had an extensive ride on that. Boothie he was out of the launch, but that's the one that's kind of ready to change our mind, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people came back raving from the launch. I mean, proper raving about it.
When I rode that Triumph on the launch, that was the first time in a little while that I'd ridden a bike that made me think, fucking hell, I really want to go touring, I want to go on an adventure. And that hasn't happened in a little while. At the same time, the three stalwart adventure bikes, the Multistrada, the GS and the Super Adventure, it's going to take a lot of bike to beat any of these three, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And they've all got their individual characters, and this is why we live in a rich, bountiful world, because people like different things. So and again, that's important to you guys watching this. Yeah, I know you respect our opinions because we're awesome, obviously, but it's down to your flavour, what you like, and you know, you've really got to go and ride them. Obviously, we're going to give you a rundown of all the things that these have got, but it's what you open the garage door to, and it's what you want to ride, isn't it?
No one makes shit bikes anymore, and like you said, it's about that flavour. If you like the red one or the orange one or the black one, whatever, then you're not going to be disappointed. It's just refining your search.
I might have to turn my heated seat down. It's one of those things that I never thought I would ever give a shit about, and now I've had one for a couple of days and it's been a bit chilly. It's almost a deal breaker now.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of heated grips or seats. I feel heated grips just make my hands get all clammy, and a heated seat just makes me feel like I've shat myself.
So yeah, let's hope these tyres are good in the rain, because we are, I think, going to be in it.
Well, I mean, I went to Pembrey on the A41s on this bike, and I was knee down in the wet. So, and these AT41s are supposed to be much better in the wet. So I don't think we'll have a problem, boys.
So have you got any particular features you want to call out on your steeds?
I know Boothie mentioned the adjustability and the electronics on the Ducati, but like I said, having spent a lot of time on this bike on the track, I mean, look, we're not talking about track stuff, but the adjustability of this bike, the electronics are amazing, and there really is a perfect setup for anyone in here. And like I said, the anti-dial, we're chatting with off camera with Chopsy earlier, and the anti-dial function is really good when you're hunting on. Like I said, the level of adjustability and the setup is almost endless. So
this actually lacks the next level modern tech in terms of the blind spot things and all the other things to distract you. But I don't think they're not deal breakers for me. Even I noticed following the Triumph, following Chopsy on the way, I wasn't in his blind spot. I could see him fully in the mirror, but the bike was going, there's someone there, there's someone there. So it could be another one of those annoying things that you just want to turn off. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd still like to have it and have the option of turning it off or on, but it's yeah, this is still the older model, but I still feel it's more of a robust adventurer. And again, I mean, the big old tank in this is still, it's a 30 litre, as the Triumph is, I think. Is the Triumph a 30 litre?
It is, yeah. Triumph is the only other, yeah, the Explorer is the only one with a 30 litre tank apart from the BMW. So I know KTM used to make a 30 litre version of the Super Adventure, but that went.
Because again, on an adventure bike, that makes a big difference to me. That Ducati is going to run out of fuel pretty soon, I reckon.
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I'd much rather have a more exciting bike and something that I can enjoy riding than another 80-100 miles of range.
Yeah, but this is still 95% as fast as both of those. The real reality, A to B, they're no quicker or slower. That's the reality of it. And I find this engine very engaging and enjoyable to ride. It may not deliver the outright, you know, technical top speed as the others, but yeah, and it probably tops out about 145 this, I reckon. Whereas yours will push on, that KTM will do what, 170?
Yeah, probably. And like I said, it's, I mean, your idea of enjoyment is completely different to mine, and that's fine. But you know, that's what exactly, go back to what you're saying about adventure bikes and the quantifying the performance side of things. But it's you know, horses for courses.
Yeah, I'm not slagging those bikes off for being technically excellent and fast. I'm not saying that at all. It's just in a bike like this, that's not a massive priority for me, because this is absolutely fast enough.
Oh, Boothie. Oh, mate.
Sorry.
For me, I'm really looking forward to this, because this is the only new real bike, well, the only new bike and the only bike I've ridden. And this engine, this really intrigues me. I know the T-plane, well, cross-plane, whatever you want to, it's called the T-plane, isn't it? It's Triumph's cross-plane version. And this really excites me. I think this is an engine that's not only good for touring, but I think will be good in a speed triple.
Yes, yes. It's got plenty of brat to it.
Yeah, hasn't it? It feels light.
The Black Mountain Pass. Or pass, if you're posh.
I'm quite intimidated getting on this bike, actually. It feels quite, feels super aggressive.
This feels really quite docile, more so than I was expecting.
Yeah, but you do, I mean, there is a lot of weight on that, and it does have all the panniers and all our camera equipment on, so
yeah,
I'm sort of getting to grips with it now. It's just a real head shock, like, fucking hell, what's going on here?
Wow, sporty.
Wow. I don't look like an old man, but it's got the power there though, the old GS. But anyway, let's stop talking about that.
God, just GS this, GS that. God.
All right, chill out.
Oh wow, look at that
this is it,
beautiful
isn't it?
view. Oh my goodness
Wow.
me.
We are really adventuring. What I say, I loved it. This so far so good for this bike. It's definitely tall. It feels very tall and long, like Chris, a RAF.
Oh.
And I.
Oh, it's your old Triumph buddy there, mate. You can go and buy some Crocs together.
I thought only GS owners buy Crocs.
No.
Speaking of GSs and GS owners, you still see more GSs than any other adventure
Oh,
bike,
of course you do.
They're
And
everywhere.
as I said off camera, you know, I don't care how good this new Triumph is or how good we rate the Ducati and KTM. The people who still buy a BMW will go and buy a BMW regardless of what we think of them. I don't know about you, Boothie, but I'm really impressed with the suspension. It feels real plush, really nice and progressive, and you know, the bump management's good, but it just feels really nice and plush.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of, I don't know, there's no kind of harshness, or just very, very smooth.
Well, this is I'm finding this particularly harsh, this suspension actually. It's definitely in the sportier range, and this is in street mode.
I know we haven't had time to kind of open these bikes up much yet. This is actually a bit slower than I remembered it.
Me and Al, when we did the Nürburgring trip a couple of years ago with the old Triumph as well, it was the old Triumph, this KTM and the GS, and we were like, yeah, the GS is way slower. But actually, when it came to it, there wasn't that much in it, was there? When it got to 140, yeah, sure, the KTM pissed off, but actually, I just don't think it doesn't feel like it's going that fast, but I think it is going fast.
The torque curve is so flat on the GS.
Yeah.
That it just, I don't know, it's deceptively fast, that's the thing.
It's not relaxing me, this bike, that's for sure. The chassis is definitely more designed around cornering and all of the sporty stuff that makes you feel good on this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, well that Super Adventure isn't a million miles away from a Super Duke.
No, it's not. No. Oh, Bethlehem.
Bethlehem?
The four kings of the Bethlehem.
The four cops,
It was the three wise men, actually.
The three wise men, yeah.
Oh yeah. We three kings of Orient are wearing
gifts, we've travelled so far.
Bethlehem, up your mum. Oh, star of wonder, star of bright, star of royal beauty.
Oh, fucking God.
Westward leading, still proceeding, round it up, you fucking minch.
Oh, that's one thing I always get with the Triumphs, is getting the indicator mixed up with the mode bloody switch.
It's a bugger, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like an old Ducati. Well,
Yeah.
Yep, exactly like
middle-aged
that, yeah.
Ducati.
Except that middle-aged Ducatis didn't have modes, did they?
I've got the windscreen on the uppermost setting on GS, and it's a bit wibbly wobbly. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, like the wind and the bumps kind of sending it, doesn't feel stiff. I reckon if you was to hit a pigeon or something like that, it'd just snap off.
You're not a proper adventure rider unless you stand up.
No, sorry. Let's all stand up, guys. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Let's do it right. I find this seat quite hard. It's all just I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's all very sporty, all of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I like it.
I don't think I could have jumped off a different bike and onto a more extreme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
I can feel all the little lumps and textures of the road, whereas on the GS, yes, it's a disconnected feeling sometimes, but it's well, as in the other bikes, they tend to glide over it a bit more. This is definitely in contact, isn't it? It's definitely feedback. I'm going to put it in street. This already feels a lot better. I'm quite impressed with the wind protection. It's quite a small screen on this, but at the speeds we're doing now, I mean, it might be different on the motorway, but it seems pretty decent.
I was expecting a lot from this Triumph, but so far it's delivering. As I said, I love the engine. It's got such a wide spread of power. It's such a usable spread of power, and I think a lot of people might be a sort of Triumph hardcore Triumph Beasties might be a bit pissed off that they lost the archetypal triple sound, but you still get it. It just sounds a bit, it's like an old man version, a bit more grown up. But so I think top heavy's the wrong phrase. Top heavy's an overused, it's an easy term to just sprout out, and I think it's more that the weight is in the wrong place. I think that's more fair.
Well, up the top.
What, too high up?
Well, how'd you get on this bloody thing?
It's pretty hard with the pannier extenders.
Yeah,
I've
you
got
just got to climb up the side of it.
I'm only short.
Go on. Ooh. I'm now on the Multistrada V4S. I think this is the, in my mind, the closest competition to steal my money away from the GS Adventure, and I loved it when we test rode it. It's already feeling more comfortable, and although the fuel gauge is well under half a tank now.
I don't mean to keep banging on about keyless ignition, but I keep having this like horrible...
Did you jump the red light?
Yeah, it's a tractor though, isn't he? As I was saying, I don't like to keep banging on about keyless ignition, but I keep having little anxiety attacks that I haven't put the key in my pocket, and I'm pretty...
I mean, it would come up with a message saying key not in range, most bikes,
yeah, I
but
suppose it would, wouldn't
it is a stupid thing. It's just something else you don't want to worry about, right? It feels like if I got a bit out of shape on this bike, it would kind of still have my back a little bit and protect me, and it kind of encourages me to be a bit more wild, but I feel pretty safe on it. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I feel well looked after on this. Yeah, this feels great. I mean, the tyres help, because the tyres feel absolutely amazing.
They do, yeah. Oh, cheers, Nige.
Well, where are you going?
We're going right.
Well, why don't you indicate then?
Well, fucking must have cancelled itself then. Fucking hell.
I mean, you're still not indicating.
Well, it's still not indicating.
I saw you putting it on with your thumb, but it didn't come on. I don't know if you're pushing the wrong fucking button.
Yeah,
that's on now.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, look, see?
Yeah, we wasn't doing that a minute ago.
You happy now?
What I
say?
Think about all the wasted paint of writing a RAF and slow. The foot controls are quite low on this, aren't they? But I'm the only one that's got proper adventure boots on, so I guess I've got... And that's the other thing. If I was going to get this Multistrada, I would get a Pikes Peak, because then you go, oh fuck it, I might as well go full dickage.
Well, but
then you're getting a sports bike, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I personally don't understand why Ducati went back to the double-sided swing arm, but
probably because it's structurally better. I'm getting a bit annoyed with these blind spots that keep flicking up. I know Boothy's behind me, and it's kind of, it's like, whoa, what's that?
My concern is that you know, at night time, if they're like shining in your face in the daytime, you know, when it's dark, they're going to be fucking well annoying, aren't they?
They must be dimmed. They must be.
Don't know. I asked about that on the Triumph launch, and they said no, they're not dimmed.
Like, Go away.
Should we get some fucking tape them up with duct tape?
Oh, fuel lights on the Ducati.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. 38 miles left of range.
Oh, fuck.
Now what's annoying of who's annoying? Who's taking note of the fuel fucking range?
But yeah, but I mean, but I just said, I said then, should we fill up the fuel? And it was like, no, just crack on.
No, I thought you said, should we get a cup of tea?
No, I said that at the same time. I said, should we fuel up now?
I didn't hear that.
I would think about a Triumph. I really would.
I think if it was the Rally Pro Explorer,
Yeah.
yes. Now we're talking. That is horny. That is very, very horny.
Fucking butthole hurts. Well, not the whole of it.
The shrinkter.
I shrinked it. That's a muscle.
But the actual, yeah, but the area is the muscle around your arsehole is the shrinkter, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is
The
it?
little circular muscle that opens and closes.
Like the valve.
Look, you know, like when you bite a calypso off the top.
Yeah, it is like that. Yeah, yeah.
A yawning spider.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
Oh, fucking hell!
Let's just fill the Ducati up. There's no point doing anything else.
This is one of the ones I've been looking forward to most. I haven't ridden this super adventure in a couple of years, and I remember the last time I rode one, I was absolutely peaking, and this is even better than the last, according to Fagan. So
This is like butter.
Yeah, it's Mantic here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually quite nice. It's definitely slower to turn than the Ducati, I'll tell you that. But not necessarily in a bad way.
Yeah, but don't forget you've got an extra 10 litres of fuel in it.
Yeah, this is true, and that was pretty much out of fuel before, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Triumph. So this is the new puppy. It's got a nice induction bark to it, but the seat is nice and squishy and soft. I could definitely feel like I could do some miles on this. It's not making me ooze with spermicides, but it's kind of, you know, it's it does what it says, I think. And I think it's actually going to be pretty good. I think if you had to live with one of these for a big long trip, like you'd be alright if you had some stints on this.
This KTM, even though I've only been on it 5 minutes now, the seat's quite hard, and I can already feel the early onset of
Anal battery.
One of the reasons it feels sporty is probably because the seat is hard and you're getting more feedback from it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I've got to say, boys, it's the gift that keeps on giving Wales so far, isn't it?
It's great, isn't it?
It's a very, very nice place. Oh yeah.
Oh, you're fucking so close, Fagan. So close.
the other thing I've noticed walking around the outskirts of this Tiger, is some of the cabling and how it's routed round is a little under premium, I would say. Like there's an area around the shock I'll show you somewhere in a minute, but it's just sort of, I don't know, in the way the cables come out of the top of the forks, it all looks just how much is this bike? 16 grand?
A bit more, yeah.
Yeah, but towards 17, I think that one.
Yeah, it's just, don't know, a bit lacking. And again, I'll show you this off camera. You can probably see it as I'm riding along. The way these flaps sort of just rattle around.
I mean,
and
who wants a loose flap?
No.
You've got floppy, saggy flaps wobbling around in your face, and you're complaining about it.
Yeah.
Comparing to the Japanese manufacturers and some European manufacturers, Triumph, their fixings and fittings and everything else were much better.
That's another interesting point. There is no Japanese or Asian bike on this test. Well, unless you include this Triumph, but they're all European, aren't they?
Right, well, we're 30 miles from Aberystwyth, so we'll see you at the Marine Hotel. Bye for now. Bye bye. We had a bit of a break from the cameras, which is probably a good thing, because we had a rather spirited ride down the A44 from Newtown, which is again another banger of road. Nice scenery past Sweet Lamb.
Yeah, it was epic. I was actually really enjoying this. It was good. But and I just said off camera, I really like it, but it's just not very cool. And I know that sounds that's a stupid thing to say, but I don't think I'd ever open the garage door and go, whoa,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
As we discussed earlier, it's such a wide parameter. There's such a big audience that that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
Yeah, right, you're right. And some adventure riders are boring, so they want a bike.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
Most of them are really fucking boring.
Yeah. So it would.
So all of you watching this, you're really fucking boring. It's not going to drop any knickers.
No, there's going to be no slippery surface signs.
I mean, I would even say it's even less cool than the GS, and I know that's a hard
What's
thing
that?
because the Triumph. Because I mean, the biggest problem with the GS is the people that ride the fucking things.
What, like you?
It says parking.
That's the sea.
Oh, it's quite nice.
It is nice, isn't it? But it's swift.
Oh, but
Oh, look, they're in the water and everything. Who fancies a swim?
No.
Right, Yui.
Yeah, Yui.
Yui.
Oh fuck! Wow, look at that! Look at that! Is that a rail? Is that a railway over there?
It's called a funicular.
A village? A what? Scheisse!
Mein butthole ist kaputt. Well done, boys. Well done, Chopsy. Well done, mate.
Well done, mate. Well done.
Smashed it. Smashed it. Smashed it. Yeah.
So we're staying in the Guesti Marine Hotel.
This isn't just any tyre. This is the Bridgestone AT41.
And someone's left a present on the Triumph.
Boothie.
Boothie for
Maybe they're drawing attention to how rattly the
maybe.
pointless vents are.
Yeah. Morning.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen, yeah?
Or what's Welsh for good morning? Welcome
Yaki da.
to Wales. Aberystwyth. We're by some sort of monument up there, which is quite nice in the sun. And Hogwarts, we've just had
Yeah,
a night at
Hogwarts over there. Yeah.
Here comes one of the teachers now. So,
Yeah. The day ahead, we're going to the surprise destination, isn't it?
well, yeah, we found a little amusing place on the map.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and have a rag back down there.
Yeah.
And give these guys. We had a bit of debates last night. Didn't we? Quite
We did.
fiery debate
We did.
after a few beers.
Yeah.
So,
We've really got to decide on really what the order. Well, if there's an order, I don't think we can give an order because, as I said yesterday, adventure bikes are very subjective. But
no, I think if we end up sort of give a bike like 1 out of 4 points, and we all sort of add up the totals, then I think we'll probably have some sort of order.
We've
Yeah.
all got a different order,
Yes.
haven't we? Like,
And it's
everyone's order's slightly.
Yeah, everyone so far, but we don't know what's going to happen today. So yeah, we're going to hop on and get going. Bit of knee skids and no moodies, obviously. It's illegal. Just because we didn't throw our pants away this morning, mate.
Disposable items. You know, you get to a point in life when you don't need to keep your pants, you could just chuck them. And I didn't even shoot myself. I've got no excuse, really.
You're like a sort of oligarch, just discarding your pants.
right,
Anyway,
let's adventure.
Last night I woke up at 5 AM with my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. Alright, love, fucking hell.
How much room do you need?
Fuck.
Well,
Fucking hell.
whoever's on the GS is fucked.
The salt in last night's food must have been horrendous. Didn't have much to drink, and I was panicking a bit. So I'm caffeine intolerant, so all there was a hot chocolate, and I had a hot chocolate, and then I was wide awake till about 8, and I fell asleep again.
And like me, Al, I know you're not a big fan of hotel room tap water.
No, I'm not. No.
You're right out here, Wales. Get it down, yeah.
I had a marvellous night's sleep.
Oh, good.
In the hotel room that was absolutely fucking roasting hot. And they'd pulled the knobs off the radiator, so I couldn't turn it down. But luckily, I had a little Swiss Army knife thing in my bag, so I just turned the fucker off.
The valve.
Because you couldn't turn the radiator down. Like, what did they expect me to do?
Well, this is welcome to the back streets, the mean streets of Aberystwyth. Oh, that's where it says.
That's Hogwarts.
That's Hogwarts. That's where it says, "Come is all you need" on that window.
Why don't we go right here? No, actually, through traffic. Through traffic. Let's straight on.
Oh. We could have gone right there and seen a bit of scenery.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right, and it's a lot warmer today, so I've pulled off my linings from my RST ambush pyjama suit.
Did you have them in yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh goodness,
my
you must
God.
have been Sweating your conkers off.
swallows.
Yeah, it was, but I'm old, you see, so I get cold. Switchgear is really important. I do like the switchgear. I think it looks amazing. And I think once I'm used to it, I'll really enjoy using it. But switchgear is important because it's your tactile, it's what you touch of the bike, and it really does influence, I think, how you feel about its quality.
I would say the Ducati has the nicest. I mean, not the nicest to look at, but in terms of feel.
Oh, but what about those grips though? They're like off a bloody balance bike from Lidl.
Blood wagon.
They're coming to unblock your toilet, Al. I guess we haven't got much to do today, which is quite nice. We can just ride, enjoy the bikes off camera, so we can really enjoy them.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult, obviously, on camera to, you know, fully embrace some of these aspects of sporting ability. De-restricted, fun days. We're off. We'll see you in a couple of hours. Yum yum.
Up the bum.
And your mum. So we're coming to the end of our, quite frankly, pretty epic day. An epic journey.
It has been.
It's been brilliant, hasn't it?
Yeah. Wales. I've got a lot more love for Wales after this trip.
Yeah, and we were commenting, you don't feel like such a... If we're on sports bikes, I think everyone would hate you sort of driving through, but you're a bit more inconspicuous on these bikes, and if you're sort of keeping a low profile, this is definitely a... I think if you were riding in a group of people, the coppers would pull over all the sports bikes first, and you could sort of just waft through and just go, hello.
Where do you begin?
I don't know, because it's really complicated. This is a really, as we banged on about before, how do you quantify an adventure test? Because they're all bloody brilliant, I've got to say.
Yeah, and none of us have been able to agree.
No.
For the whole time, really, have we? We haven't really agreed on what even makes a good adventure bike, never mind which one we like the most.
I mean, I've changed my mind a few times as well.
Have
I'm glad I re-rode some of the bikes today and had another assessment. Because depending on which one you've come off, certain features of the other one you've just got on will be massively exaggerated.
Yeah.
I guess, should we just go alphabetically?
Yeah, okay.
And have a little rundown of each one. So,
BMW. Yes. Well, I mean, I didn't know you liked GSs, Chris.
No. I mean, yeah, I never hide the fact that I do love that bike. I think it's a brilliant bike, and I think, you know, although the last year or two it is getting old, you know, the other ones have come out with all the new tech. I think that there's going to be an announcement soon, maybe later this year, October time, which is going to announce the 1300, and that will have all the tech and stuff included, if you want it. But then, to be honest, having ridden with the tech, I didn't need it at all. In fact, if anything, it was slightly annoying, particularly on the Triumph, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good at everything.
It's the most adventure-y.
Yes, it's without doubt.
And it's worth saying that this has been the poor bastard that's lugged all of our camera equipment around.
Yeah.
It's been fully laden. You know, it's been the utilitarian bike out of all of them.
But it's a victim of its own success, isn't it? Because it's so good at carrying all that stuff. It's been laden with all the kit, but it's done a pretty good job of it, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if you did want to go on a more adventurous adventure for a longer distance, I personally would look for bikes like that, which could take more equipment. It will be a bit more docile and easier to live with on long motorway
stretches. Fuel range.
I mean, it's still got 200 miles in it now.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. So, you know, it's got all the qualities of the classic adventure bike, but then the adventure segment has probably been built around that bike for the last 20 years.
And Triumph, we'll get into it in a minute, but Triumph built that new bike with the GS in mind, didn't it? That was a specific target.
At the launch, they banged on about, you know, this is the bike that's going to take it to the GS. They didn't mention the Multistrada or the Super Adventure or the V-Strom or anything else. They said this is going to beat a GS.
And it's still, I mean, unconventional boxer twin layout. It's all wrong in the head, isn't it? But it all comes together.
That's maybe why you like it.
Probably, but it all sort of fits together after decades of development, and it shows. Yeah. There's only a few things that I get annoyed by, which is auto-cancelling indicators, and I think all the bling that they put on this particular model is a bit useless, really. I think there's a lot of stuff you could probably do without.
Agreed.
But yeah.
Do you want to do the Ducati next?
Yeah,
well,
it's D.
It's next in the alphabet.
It's D.
What do you think of the big D?
Sorry.
The big
I mean, I really like it. It's fast, it's exciting. you know, it's still an adventure bike. You can still, but then there's no denying that engine has come from a superbike instead of a V4 in an adventure bike. Who'd have thought it? But it's, you know, it does everything really well. Brakes are a bit sharp for me.
I really like them brakes.
I think they're good, but I just think they're a bit too sharp for that suspension.
When I got in it, when I was just turning the bikes around on the gravel driveway thing, it's like,
yeah,
oh, yeah, it's definitely not adventure spec brakes.
But I think that's the bike that that's going to entice. You know, if you've ridden sports bikes all your life and you want something, you want an adventure bike that's still sporty and you can go scratching on it if you need to, or do a track day. Although I don't know who would do a track day on an adventure bike. Do you?
Some nutter.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's probably my favourite because of the fact that it's the sportiest. But then, you know, the Super Adventure sporty in a different way, isn't it?
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
Kind of,
yeah. The Ducati is sporty, but it's smooth. It's still refined.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I mean, I really like the Ducati as well. That's the bike that's thrown up my biggest. Because I really want to buy an adventure bike this year. So this test, I've been waiting for this test for months because it's been amazing to have them all here and you can really have a go on it. And that Ducati has been the one that's like knocking on the GS's door. I know it's called an adventure bike, but it's a super bike that is. And the fuel range is ridiculous on it.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, it is, but that's the worst on all the bikes here.
Yeah,
it's thirsty and it's not big enough.
Like probably half the distance it will go than the GS.
Yeah,
but it's just, and that's not a criticism that it's more sports toury. It's just that's what it is. It's a super fast.
But I think the fact that the fuel range isn't anywhere near as any of the other bikes, that has to be a criticism. Because it's an adventure bike.
Yeah.
We talked about it before, and I kind of said, "Oh well, you know, you can just stop for fuel." But it was annoying. Whoever was on the Ducati kept saying, "No, we need to stop now."
Yeah. And then all your mates are like, "Shit, I've got a GS. I could go for another 200 miles," and then you know, your friends won't like you very much.
The fly in the ointment of what is otherwise a.
I don't think you can say it's more of a sports tourer. That, you know, that bike there is an adventure bike, and people and manufacturers have built bikes around that in their own style as an adventure bike. That obviously is an adventure bike. The Multistrada is still an adventure bike. It's just a completely different,
totally different to that.
And that's why I prefer that over the BMW.
I just don't know how adventurous you could be on it.
How adventure-y do people get on adventure bike? And this is another subject of discussion, isn't it? Because I'm sorry, 90% won't ever see gravel.
I would say more than 90%.
Exactly.
But adventure to me doesn't necessarily mean off-road. Adventure means long distance. You know, when you're doing 500-mile days, you know, it's great. Yeah, it's brilliant that it's got the explosive power, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, and it handles beautifully, and it's exquisite. But if I had to ride to Rome now, I'd take the GS probably, because I've got a load of stuff, load of camera gear, and that's what I consider the adventure to be. It's an enabler to go and travel somewhere. I don't know, I mean, but if I wanted to go on a Sunday blast, or maybe, you know, do some 200 miles, I'd definitely take the Ducati. It comes down to the flavour, but it's a debate of what adventure is, which I don't think anyone knows. And also, I'll just add in this, these are the only really big adventure bikes left.
Worth testing, yeah.
Most of them now, most of the off-road adventure is all middleweight stuff, like the Desert X and things like that, and the Tenere. Those are adventure dirt bikes. So I don't think let's get confused between off-road ability and these, because no one will. Like, they're SUVs.
So KTM, I mean, that thing still for me, that's the bike I'd ride away today, and that's the bike I own.
It's the most exciting one, isn't it?
Yes,
it's the most.
Without doubt.
It's the most explosive one. It's like an enduro bike that someone's just blown up
with steroids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculously fast. It's ridiculously potent. Almost, I got off the GS and got straight on that one, and I was like, whoa, there's something wrong with this. I don't know what I'd want from that bike. It's a comfortable bike to go out all day and smash the shit out of your mates on sports bikes, don't get me wrong, because that thing can get from A to B properly fast. Probably faster than sports bikes, to be honest, on these English B-road or Welsh B-roads. So again, I'm questioning what adventure is, and if I want that intensity. It's been brilliant for these couple of days, but it does lack some refinement for me. The hardest seat by a long way. It's probably the most uncomfortable. Raw. It's a very raw bike.
Raw is the one. Yeah.
And honestly, if I wanted to do what you want to do on that bike, I'd just buy a Super Duke or a Super Duke GT. You know?
But what I think the thing is, and this is a big subject, not everyone has the money for an adventure bike, a sports bike, this and that.
Correct.
That will do everything really well.
Agreed.
And that is another reason why I'd have that.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Triumph.
That was a surprise for me. I'm not going to lie. I know everyone raved about it, but I really enjoyed it. It's good at everything. It's really good at everything. But it's just, as I said, it's not sexy enough. There's no va-va-voom.
It lacks edge, doesn't it? It kind of, it doesn't grab you by the balls.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a bit like the Ducati. It's smooth, it's refined, it's got loads of tech, it's got loads of electronics, goes around corners fairly well. But it doesn't. The Ducati's got that sexiness,
You
that
feel
edge.
cool on the Ducati, don't you?
Yeah, you feel cool. It looks, it's bright red, and whereas the Triumph's just. I think it's probably as good as the Ducati, but it doesn't have that.
No, exactly. It doesn't. There's no connection with it. There's no.
Yeah.
I think it's probably on paper, if you added up all the bike's attributes like distance, range, comfort, speed, it's probably the best bike here as an all-round package. But I don't think any of us would choose to buy that one just because.
Yeah, over the other ones that are here.
It just doesn't. Yeah, there's just something about it which doesn't float my boat. No complaints with that bike.
Yeah.
Minor. And actually, some of the fixings are a bit cheap and a bit. If you're spending 16, 17 grand on that spec bike, I'd expect a little more quality, robustness.
Yeah.
So, and only time will tell. We need to see one in 3-4 years after it's been ridden to Kathmandu, if anyone will bother. But, as in riding that far, Kathmandu.
So this test hasn't really changed your mind then? You're still a GS man?
Because at one point yesterday you were like, right, no, that's it. Fucking yeah, at one point yesterday you were like, no. And then you went, oh, we've got a problem here, boys. I want the Multistrada. And then now you're saying you're going to...
No, I'm not. I still haven't made up my mind.
Well, we have to have an order. So by the time we come to you, we need an order. Boothie, your order, please.
It's really difficult, but I think probably Ducati. Just because that would be my number one.
Yeah.
If I had to take one of these home now, I'd take the Ducati because it's the sexiest, probably the fastest, and the sportiest. Then probably the KTM because of everything we said. It's exciting and a bit raw. Then see the Triumph and the GS. The kind of I don't want either of them to be last. Probably the GS would be next because if I already had a Ducati, the Triumph's too similar, isn't it? So I have a GS to go on long adventures and then Triumph. Okay,
I'm going to go KTM first, just because it's I love everything about it. Honestly, it's it's not even yesterday riding all the bikes all the time, and there wasn't even a moment in time where I went, it's been superseded. So KTM, Ducati second, BMW third, Triumph fourth, even though I hate saying it because the Triumph could easily be much higher up, but I just couldn't open the garage and go wing. It's So Chrissy, come on,
what's your number one?
Like if I had to buy one tomorrow, I think it would still be a GS, but it's so close just because the Ducati is definitely like millimeters away from it, but it's an unknown thing for me, and I think I'm very fortunate enough to have a couple of bikes, and if I want to go for a hoon, I've got other options. The GS is still, if I was going to travel up to see you in Edinburgh with a load of camera gear, crack, without a doubt,
we've got plenty there, don't worry. It's Glasgow anyway.
Yeah, Ironbury. I'd take that. Because that's what, to me, an adventure bike is. If that was an enduro version, if they came out with that and it had more sort of an aggressive, sort of Dakar-style desert storm paint job with some big panniers and stuff, which they may well do, I don't think they will, then that would definitely be in with a shout, but it's very close. So I'd go BMW number 1, Ducati very close number 2, and then KTM number 3, and then again, sadly, the Triumph number 4. There's nothing wrong with the Triumph. No. It's amazing. It's actually a really, really good bike, but it's just not. It's just not for me.
So Ducati 10, KTM 9, BMW 8, Triumph 4, that's an awful score. But once again, we can't bang on enough about how subjective this class is, and all these bikes are brilliant.
Yeah,
they are. You will not go wrong with only one of these.
Yeah, yeah. If you know, we talked about riding. If you had to ride one to Rome, you'd probably choose the GS.
Yeah.
But if you had to go on the Triumph, you'd be more than happy, wouldn't you?
Completely.
More than happy.
Yeah, absolutely fine. In fact, that would be the next one I choose to take, ironically, which is weird. But then there's all sorts of factors, and then it's like riding at night. I mean, I know, again, I've had one of these for a while, so I know it very well, and I know the headlight system and the adaptive thing is amazing, and all those things that make your life better. But, yeah, anyway.
So I'll take the Ducati home then.
I'll take the KTM.
You'll take the KTM.
I'll take the BMW.
You take the GS, and we'll give Chops to the
Chops
Triumph.
in the Triumph, yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, thanks so much for coming.
No problem at all, son. No problem at all. Do you want a final verdict on what I think? When trying to see that I'm 50, bald, fat, I am the target market for these bikes. You know, I am the man who should be deciding which ones you want here. So if you want a hooligan, it's either the Ducati or it's the Super Adventure. I think the Super Adventure is a little bit more of a hooligan than the Ducati, but this is right up there. If you've come from a sports bikes background, you're going to want either of those two, really. Now the GS and the GT Explorer on the Triumph, it's a tricky one. They're both, I think, more mile eaters. And like we spoke about last night, if you're going to go down to Rome, then I would probably take the GS or the Triumph. I think the Triumph sits in between these two, the Super Adventure and the Ducati, as a slightly bit more sporty than the GS.
Yeah.
So if you really want the ultimate mile muncher, go for the GS. It's as simple as that.